Sometimes the conventional wisdom about retirement and Social Security can be a big mistake. And today I will tell you why. So I taught Social Security seminars for many years. It's an area where pre-retirees need a lot of information because frankly, it's a really murky and opaque system, lots of arcane rules, very, very complicated to understand because you only do this once, right? So why should you understand it? But one constant back when I was teaching these seminars, everybody was saying, hold off on taking Social Security until you're 70, if at all possible. And this is something most advisors still teach, but I've come to realize it doesn't always make sense. Now, this is the standard chart you've probably seen before. It shows how cumulative benefits add up depending on at what age you claim. So it's easy to see how your benefit grows by 8% a year until you turn 70. But sometimes taking Social Security early, even before your full retirement age, which if you're born in 1960 or later, that is age 67, sometimes claiming early is the right approach. And yes, I do know that the Social Security Administration withholds a portion of your benefits if your earnings exceed the annual limit, but the benefits that are withheld are credited back to you in the form of higher monthly payments once you reach your full retirement age. Okay, so how do you make the Social Security claiming decision? Because once you decide, you're locked in. And again, the fine print, there is a small exception for paying back the money within 12 months. That doesn't happen very often though, and for today's purposes, just consider that you're locked into the decision because that is the case in something like 99% of the time. So yes, delaying your claim does increase your monthly benefit, but that doesn't always mean it's really the payoff that you're looking for. Now, there's a calculation that many advisors do not use, to be fair, but it's popular among the general public, and that is your break-even age. Now, this tells you how long you need to live for that trade-off to result in more total income. If you live past that age, you come out ahead. Now, here's how that might look. This chart shows how much total Social Security money you'd collect if you start at 62, 67, or 70. If you start earlier, you get smaller checks, but more of them, so your total adds up faster in the beginning. Makes sense. The break-even age is the point where bigger checks from waiting finally catch up to the smaller checks that you started earlier. But here's why I don't like break-even and why I've actually never suggested using this as your baseline. Break-even calculations don't include something called the time value of money, the concept that $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. You may have heard that. Now, here's an example, not from Social Security. You inherit a stock that your grandmother bought in 1970. She called her stockbroker to do that back then. She didn't buy it on Robinhood or even on Schwab. So say she bought Coca-Cola back in 1970. A $1 investment in Coca-Cola stock in September 1970 would be worth over $1,000, including dividends and compounding, as of 2025. And we all know that Don Draper wrote that famous song about I'd like to buy the world a Coke. We all know that by now. So that dollar invested in 1970 was worth a lot more over time than if you took that same dollar and invested it today. So just like with Coca-Cola stock, taking Social Security earlier can give your money more time to grow, and that head start really matters. So let's take a real example. This is based on someone I know. She's fine with me using this example. She is 63 right now, with about $300,000 in investments and an annuity worth about $160,000. She plans to annuitize that when she turns 72. She also owns her home free and clear. So she's not uber wealthy, but she does have some assets. She does have some things going for her. However, what she has is not enough to comfortably retire today for a 30-year retirement. And here's why I love this example. She left a career she wasn't happy in, that she had done for decades, and is starting her own business in a field she enjoys much more. Now, she told me not long ago that she plans to take Social Security on her 64th birthday in a few months. Wait a minute. Aren't we always told to wait until 70? That's the only right answer? Well, maybe, just maybe, claiming early could be the right decision here. So if she claims now, she'd get about $2,000 a month, give or take. If she waits until 70, that would be about $3,000 a month. Again, give or take, okay? I ran this scenario through some financial planning software, and that showed her break-even point at about age 81. Oh, by the way, one more thing. She was married for many years, but her benefit is about the same as her former spouse's, so there's no value in claiming half of his benefit. So let's look at what happens if she delays claiming her own. If she delays claiming, she has to withdraw more from her portfolio now to make up the gap. Or what she's planning on is making money from her new business. And I should mention that at age 63, she's super healthy and energetic. So if anybody can start a business right now, she can. But if she withdraws from her portfolio, which she really does not want to do right now, and I understand this, she gives up more appreciation from the portfolio, right? She takes out money and has less money in there, so less ability to grow that account. So one thing people ask me a lot, if a higher investment return would change the Social Security break-even. The short answer is yes, it pushes the break-even even later. Here's why. If this person, she needs a name. We're going to call her Robin, not her real name. If she collects benefits at 63 or 64, she gets smaller checks, but she gets them for an extra 7 years. Now, some advisors will tell you to claim early so you can invest those checks. I am super skeptical of that advice. Now, let's get real. This sounds good. It's one of those things that sounds great on all the YouTube videos, sounds great on paper. Most retirees do not actually invest their Social Security income. They use it to cover everyday living expenses. And I prefer to kind of go with what happens in the real world, right? So it might look good on paper to say, I'll invest the payments, but it's rarely how things play out in real life. So because she starts earlier, Robin's Head Start puts her so far ahead that it takes the larger age 70 benefit more time to catch up. Now remember, in this example, she does have investments, so her real benefit by taking Social Security earlier is that she does not have to withdraw as much from the portfolio, which gives her savings more time to grow on their own. So you can think of it as a foot race. She starts running at 64 with smaller strides, but she's on the track 6 years earlier than somebody with a very similar situation to hers that started at 70, and by the way, has been withdrawing probably more money as they go along. So if Robin's strides grow faster because of investment returns, her head starts so big that the runner who waits till 70, even with longer strides, takes longer to catch up, okay? Now, what they don't tell you in these typical advisor Social Security seminars that say wait till 70, they don't give you that perspective. But here's another angle. Robin actually needs money for living expenses right now, which is a really, really common reason people claim early. There's other reasons. People think Social Security won't be there. I'm not going to get into that today, okay? That is a thing that people are worried about increasingly, but most people do this because they need the money. Now, if she delays claiming Social Security, she has to pull more from her portfolio to cover the gap, or as she's planning, rely on income from her new business. But most businesses need some time to ramp up. If she ends up taking extra withdrawals from the portfolio instead, that's money she really does not want to touch. Why? Because it reduces the amount that's left to grow and compound. So that's why in some cases, claiming early can actually make sense depending on whether you want to protect your portfolio or count on other income to bridge the gap. Here's something from a Vanguard report. For those who choose to claim early, there could be significant advantages. Early access to Social Security benefits can reduce the amount an investor draws from a stock or bond portfolio, particularly in the near and middle term, which can help preserve assets for legacy bequests. So, in other words, if you want to leave something to your heirs. The Vanguard report goes on to say, then there's the behavioral aspect, specifically the fact that people often place a higher dollar value on a dollar today versus a dollar tomorrow. We talked about that. Although this mindset doesn't always align with wealth maximization, its commonness means that for some retirees, the intrinsic value of earlier access to a payout can also come with psychological value. A lot of people just feel better having the money now than waiting for it later. And maybe the math doesn't always math the best, but, peace of mind is good. So that choice may not give them as much money in the long run, but having the cash sooner feels more valuable, better sleep at night. So you do want to run the math. You do want to understand the implications of taking Social Security when you do. And remember, the government wants you to delay because it reduces their payout. But that's not always the right choice for you. Claiming Social Security at 70 is the so-called safe decision for most retirees. And that's what you will hear in most videos if you listen to advisors doing seminars. But it can be misleading because it's not always the correct decision. So, the pitfalls. Here are some charts from a company called Smart Asset. It shows the advantages and disadvantages of claiming early. Now, in this chart, we see a 30-year hypothetical scenario with an investor that they call Dave, who has a 60-40 portfolio worth $408,420. Pretty precise, similar to what we looked at with Robin, although, as I mentioned, part of her portfolio will be annuitized when she's 72. So, investor Dave here chooses to delay Social Security and live solely on his portfolio withdrawals for the first 5 years of retirement. And at 67, his full retirement age, he begins claiming benefits. Now, his withdrawals early in retirement deplete his portfolio sooner, but his income later in retirement is greater because he has a larger Social Security benefit. Now, in this next scenario from Smart Asset, they're comparing the two. They considered another 30-year hypothetical scenario with an investor. In this case, her name is Emily. And she also has a 60-40, 60% stocks, 60% bonds portfolio worth, what? $408,420. So she claims Social Security at 62 as soon as she can, meaning she does not have to withdraw as much money early in her retirement. But you see the drawback here, her portfolio lasts longer, but her income later in life is reduced because her benefit is smaller. Now, neither one of these accounts for additional income, like from a business, as in our illustration, or if you get an inheritance, or if you sell a home and downsize. Maybe a pension. Government workers still have pensions. Corporate, not so much. So every situation is different, which is why I've come to the conclusion that this one-size-fits-all answer of wait till 70 isn't always correct. The personalized model of making a Social Security decision makes more sense than cookie-cutter advice. If you're not married, if you're starting a business, maybe you're the lower earning spouse in a couple, or if you have a significant pool of retirement assets, maybe you're in poor health, unfortunately, have a shorter life expectancy. Those are some cases in which you might consider an early Social Security claiming strategy. So thank you for watching today. If you want help with this decision, I am a financial advisor at Core Planning. Send me an email at kate@coreplan.com, no A in Core, and I will put that email in the show notes. Thank you for watching today, and I hope you found that helpful.